Man, Joe be out there chilling. Even when he rolling out, it look like he walking out.
Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out.
I'm like, what? Bro, are you running right now? And Joe's just like, hold on, wait. Let me just. He's that old dude at the local gym with the elbow pass that's getting buckets. You're like, yo, did he just drop 20 on us? Yeah, that's Joe Flacco.
First pod of the new year. Nate, do we do the Happy New Year stuff or statute of limitations run dry on that bad boy? Like, what do we do with Happy New Year?
Let's enjoy it, man. I mean, let's enjoy it like it's the early 2000s Montreal, and we have a glass of champagne in our hand, and we're just living life. Like, celebrate New Year's like that, baby. Come on, Tim.
I just told Nate about the first time I had a drink, and it was New Year's Eve, Montreal, grade 13 year, which doesn't even exist anymore. Good times, my friend. And you told me you've never been to Montreal. We got to get you to Montreal.
We got to set that up. We got to set that up, man. Hopefully 2024, I'll be in Montreal for sure.
Oh my God, yeah. The foodie scene, Montreal, hot, and then after foodie scene, Montreal might be even hotter. But there is
but let me ask you this: Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, foodie scene, and then after foodie scene. How do you rank those? I mean, come on.
At the risk of pissing off peeps, friends, dudes.
Give them a break, y'all.
It might be Montreal for both. and I might not be that hot a take. Let us know.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let us know. Come on.
Like,
drop it in the comment below.
That's a hot take. I don't know if it is. But there is a drop dead date on the Happy New Year stuff. Like, I know it's first time you see a person, and then like we're done. Like February 22nd, first time you've seen someone, it's dead. You're not doing it. Yeah,
it has to be a week later. Just kind of like, all right, that's enough. We're here. 2024 is here, bro. All right. I'm already stressed again.
Nate to Montreal.
Yep.
And then a week on the. All right, there we go. Please ensure seat backs, tray tables are in the full and upright positions. Week 18 is upon us. 20 teams in contention, 5 playoff berths, 4 division titles on the line. Feels like the year of parity. And I know everyone extols the virtues of parity, especially the league, and I get why. I like excellence. I'm not sure I've seen that this season, Nate Burleson.
Huh. Wow, that is a strong take. And you're talking about as a team. You haven't seen the team be excellent all the way through. What you're saying is you have seen teams dominate in spaces, but everybody has a little chink in their armor, which I could agree. But there has been teams at moments that looked more dominant than others. And of course, you know, one of the teams that jump right to the front of your mind is Baltimore. Right after that, it is also San Francisco. And right after that, it is also Miami. What's funny about those few teams is one has separated themselves from the bunch.
All right. So I think we saw the excellence on Sunday. Lamar is an MVP after a beat down with the Dolphins.
Wait. Let me. I know you like to run point and you have to go through the run of show, but I have to say this. I have to compliment you because when everyone was yelling that this is the non-quarterback year, it's Tyreek, it's Christian McCaffrey.
I did that.
Keep your eyes on. You did. But while everybody was saying Brock Purdy and don't forget about Josh Allen and could it be Patrick Mahomes, you kept saying, but wait a minute though. There's something to be said about what Lamar is doing every week, every single week. And now, of course, over the last week, everybody's jumping in and saying, see, I told you, you got to give Lamar credit. But you were giving him credit a long time ago, so I'm giving you credit right now because it was almost like, it was kind of like what you were saying. Lamar was doing exactly what he needed to do, depending on who they played. It didn't have to be pretty. It didn't have to put up enough numbers to compete with the biggest passing quarterbacks or put up enough touchdowns to compete with whoever is leading the league in TDs. He was doing what he needed to do in a way that suited his team. I remember, quick segue, I remember he tweeted something like middle of the year. He said, I know y'all fantasy football fans want to kill me right now. because they had won the game, and I think he had one touchdown, didn't rush the ball, didn't have big yards. Now fast forward to a game where Lamar Jackson, former MVP hunt, needed to be everything in every aspect. It was almost like what I took away from that game was he was showing everybody, I can do this on a weekly basis if I need to. And that's the point that you were making, which I think Lamar drove it home for you in that game this past weekend. So big pat on the back to you, man, because even I wasn't thinking about Lamar in the way that I should have until you kept reminding me of it week.
I do appreciate that. But and maybe this is just me, because I'm thinking about like my favorite heavyweight of all time, and it was partly because he's Canadian, also Jamaican, and also English, was Lennox Lewis. But the reason why I love Lennox Lewis was because he could beat you any which way. So whoever he faced, he would tap someone if they had inside power. And if he thought he could overpower, he would knock you the bleep out. Georges St. Pierre, also Canadian, I'm sorry. But the way he would win was people would say, it's boring. And it's like, nah, it's not boring. He understands the technicalities of this. He's using his dome piece to figure out how he's going to beat the best in the world. And I feel like here we are with Lamar. And the thing that pissed me off the most, and I don't know if you remember this, but this was part of, I heard a talking head say, hey, Lamar's a top 5 quarterback in this league. And he thought he was given a hot take, Nate. And I was like, this guy's already an MVP, and you think this is a hot take? Like, he is going to be the youngest player to win 2 MVPs since Jim Brown in 1958. And we're talking, he could be, like, I don't know if it's, I talked to Warren Moon, old school. Like, are we still breaking down that stereotype?
That's my guy. Yeah.
Is it just because he's a running quarterback and people think that he can't do that 5 touchdown thing that he did against Tua and the Dolphins? Like, where does the disrespect come from? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's a great question. Shout out to Warren Moon, University of Washington Husky. Also, shout out to the Washington Huskies.
There's
Moon played with my dad at the University of Washington. So Big Moon is one of the best ever. I will say this. It's hard for me to say, it's a black quarterback thing, because there are so many black quarterbacks in the league right now. But I think if you are a black quarterback and you are athletic, there is this idea that you are not as traditional in your technique as old school quarterbacks. There was another talking head that said, I like my quarterbacks quarterbacky. I never heard of that word before, but it went viral. And I'm not trying to pile on, but in other words, saying I need my quarterback to be traditional, drop back, not ad-lib in the pocket. Don't extend plays with your legs. Throw it to a spot on the field. Receiver catches it, gets upfield. The game has changed. Like, point blank, period. People keep saying that, well, he's an athlete more than he is a quarterback. No, what we're not understanding is that this is the new quarterback. And have we ever looked at Josh Allen and said, well, he's not quarterbacky? We've never looked at Josh Allen and said, hey, man, Josh Allen, he's more of an athlete than is a QB. No, we just call him a really good QB that's athletic, right? Now, if we're breaking down athleticism, Josh is crazy fast, big arm, athletic. You put him on a basketball court, I'm sure he could dunk it. You put him on a baseball
He's new age,
diamond, he could do it all. But we don't look at him as this non-traditional athletic guy that's playing quarterback, moonlighting as a QB. But oftentimes we look at guys like Lamar. I just feel like at some point, we all have to embrace this idea that the quarterback position has been redefined forever.
Right.
Period. The quarterbacks that are traditional, that are going to drop back and stand in the pocket like a statuesque QB, Tom Brady, now Joe Flacco having a little bit of a resurgence.
Yeah.
That quarterback, that version of the QB, there'll always be a place for that guy. But the QB that teams are looking for is somebody that can move in the pocket. You know why? Because as these offensive linemen that are big, strong, are going to continue to do the same moves. Now they're getting bigger, faster, stronger, like every other position. Offensive line, drop back, pass protect, drop back, pass protect. A pull and go pick up a guy. They're doing the same moves. The defensive linemen and linebackers are getting bigger, faster, and super duper quick. And so, And they're using moves like wide receivers do on DBs. So if the other side of the ball is evolving, which means these guys are going to get to the quarterback often. And we talked about how there's been more sacks and QB pressures and QB hits. Teams need a quarterback that can see that and go, and get out the pocket. So you're not going to see too many, like this. You won't see too many guys that are running the 4.9s and the 4.8s and even the 4.7s, 5 flats that are just fantastic throwers. You're going to see the guys that at the very least, can get outside the pocket. That's why I feel like 2-3 years, maybe it'll take 5. 5 years from now, we won't be talking about a guy that's athletic that's playing quarterback. We'll just be talking about every quarterback being athletic. Yeah. That's where this is headed. Look at the last handful of Heisman quarterbacks. They all are slick in the pocket. They all can get out and move with their feet. None of them are just standing back there. Even Michael Penix, who they say is an old school drop back quarterback at the University of Washington. Even that guy was showing that he had legs when he won that game. So I just feel like the whole landscape has changed, and guys like Lamar are leading the way.
Yeah, the only criticism I hear that maybe rings true with the athletic quarterback, but I don't think that it is talked about enough with the pocket quarterback, is can you keep them healthy the entire year? That's true of dudes who stand in the pocket too. That's what made Brady so great, was that he could get rid of it quickly, right? And he didn't take the sacks. And Lamar, to me, when healthy, like, my guy avoids a lot of punishment too. Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, avoids the punishment that comes with being a quarterback that can get out of the pocket. And listen, everyone, some of the greatest ability is your availability. I've heard that a number of times on NFL films. So I'll listen to it, but it's also like, it's an indictment of the running quarterback. It's also an indictment of the pocket quarterback who can't get rid of the ball and get sacked all the time.
And I think there's an argument to be made that I'd rather have a athletic quarterback that can escape those hits and those rushes than a pocket passer who can't get out the pocket in time and is sitting back there taking shots straight to the chin and getting their body folded up while they're letting go of a football. So I think the next generation of quarterbacks all will be athletic, regardless of race, size, height, weight. It'll be different versions of athletes, but they'll all be able to move in the pocket.
I would agree with that. Listen, we gave Lamar love. Let's give their D some love too. Baltimore leads the NFL in takeaways, sacks, and scoring defense since 1970, when the merger happened. No team has finished the season leading the league in all 3 categories, and yet the Niners are still the favorites at most books. Agree or disagree with the assumption that by the way, the Bills have shot up that. Bills are 3rd on most books now to win the Super Bowl, but it goes Niners, Ravens, Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, and then Eagles.
It's tricky, man. Listen, I'll start with the Bills. I remember we talked about it when they was coming out of their slump, and I said this might be the most dangerous team because at this point, nobody cares. They're not supposed to win. They're dealing with injuries. We're not sitting here stroking their ego and saying, oh, look at the Bills, they're going to the Super Bowl. I know they are playing so pissed off, and there's no bigger motivator than them guys knowing that everybody's off the bandwagon. And to be honest, the window could be closing. You think about the guys that are banged up, the ages of certain players, they are in let's win now mode. Now, when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens and the 49ers, this is so tricky, man. My heart is divided because I've been such a big fan of what the 49ers are doing. And I think Brock Purdy had the worst part of his season out of the way. But I also thought that Tua and the Dolphins would fare better. So, like, what would make me think that Lamar Jackson and the way that they play defense, complemented by the offense, that can really do it all? Now, last weekend, they was like, you know what? Oh, y'all think that this is the new fastest team in the league. Y'all think the Dolphins? This is the new what they used to call the St. Louis Rams,
fastest show on turf.
Fastest show on turf. Oh, that's the Dolphins? No, it seems like the Baltimore Ravens. They walked in ready to show everybody like we can do it without Mark Andrews. By the way, defensively, they got what it takes. They're so damn fast. They're big up front and they're linebackers, and here's where the 49ers give teams fits. Of course, their wide receivers make plays, Brandon Ayuk can't take his top off the coverage, but it's how they work in the middle of the field, how they work with the play calling, and how that complements the crossing routes and how they confuse people with how they scheme up these plays. When you don't have the speed to keep up with these crossers and pick plays, and then running backs like Christian McCaffrey coming out the backfield, it's tough. They just run through teams. Baltimore got the technology, bro. Like Baltimore has speed on every level. So when they're playing man-to-man, they're right there, sitting there and yanking on that jersey right behind you in your pocket. And then when they pass you off, they don't pass you off to a guy that's chasing like, oh, they're passing you off to a guy that's waiting and has the speed to keep up with you. So that's why their man and zone works. With how last weekend went, I'm waffling back and forth. I'm going to say Baltimore right now is my favorite.
Yeah, and before anyone says like, "Hey, Nate, recency bias," I will back you up with this. They're 7-3 against winning teams this year. If you make it 500 or better, the Ravens are 10-3. Like they're battle tested. They have played 13 games. 13 games against teams that are 500 or better last 3 weeks at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, the beatdown of Miami, all impressive to me. But we're going to hear over the next little while how important playoff seeding is. That's how you sell week 18. That's how you sell week 17. But keep this in mind. Of the last 6 Super Bowl teams, including the world champs in 2020 and 2021, we have seen them go into the postseason no better than a 4 seed. Okay? So there are teams that are coming from behind to end up winning the Super Bowl, or at least make it. Does that change your outlook on what Bills at Dolphins Sunday nighter means to folks? Or are you just old school? You want to set a tone going into the most important point of the season?
I want to set a tone. And I want to keep the momentum that I have. Like, obviously, Miami has sour taste in their mouth. When you look at the Bills, they are on a mission. All they see is red right now. And it's good. Whatever that tool is that McDermott is using to motivate the Bills, ride it all the way through. Because I've always felt like when you're going into week 16, now week 17, a coach that convinces us that every week matters, whether we have the bye or not, that's the team that's going to be the most dangerous. Not the team that has kicked their feet up and they're like, we earned this bye, or the last week doesn't matter. Every team that I was on and we felt like we were good enough to kind of kick our feet up and relax the last week of the season, we didn't make it the long haul. It's just like our mindset was different, if that makes sense.
Right.
So like this means everything. This means everything to the Bills. I think it means of course a lot to Miami, and this is going to say a lot going into the postseason.
All but one tool for McDermott to motivate this team. Someone went after, like, real talk, like that leaked story from years ago. Someone went after McDermott, and the way that they've responded since then, because he was on the hot seat. Like that was at that time when that story came out, he was in the hot seat, and this team has responded. And to me, that's something that says a lot about that locker room, even though there was some internal chirping going on between players, coaches, and whoever leaked that story.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he came out right away and was like, listen, I was out of line. I apologize. And his team responded and had his back. I'll say this last thing on the Bills. Stephon Diggs, going into last week, I think it was 9 straight games where he has not cracked 100 yards. I'm not saying this to call him out. I'm saying this because sometimes the mark of being a true number one is embracing the role when you are being targeted more than everybody and you need to hold down the offense. But then also on the flip side, when the offense needs to reset and find a new balance, you might have to embrace another role. I'm not saying he's the second or third wide receiver. I'm just saying right now he's not complaining. They are winning. And as much as we want to compliment, the team, let's compliment the leaders that have really looked themselves in the mirror and said, all right, for the foreseeable future, I am going to be a different player for this team. Because we oftentimes want to grab onto the dramatic headlines and say, oh, well, we heard that he's not happy and he might not. Let's compliment him right now, because a lot of receivers in his position with the money he's getting paid and who he's supposed to be in this offense would have came out and been barking and made things uncomfortable. I love the fact that Steph is like, I'm going to lead by example. We good. 3 or 4 catches, 50 yards. I don't care if I score or not. if we're winning, I'm straight.
Right. I like that too. I think sometimes you see the diva receivers, they just want to give me the ball, give me the damn ball, like whatever it is, they want
And
the
it could derail
ball.
things.
And sometimes you're more valuable running that route, freeing someone else up that you know. Anyways, I'm glad that you brought up that point. All right. So Texans at Colts, Jags at Titans, all 9-7. Jags control their own destiny. One's going to win the division. Maybe two of them are going to make it, but are any of them really dangerous?
I see that Trevor Lawrence is banged up, and like that scares me. I know he's trying to tough it out, and that's what leaders do. But I also think there's a fragility not just in his body, but there's a fragility in the spirit of the team. They just don't seem like the same squad that had that enthusiasm. That squad that knew that they were good enough to compete with the big dogs and can sneak up and punch anybody in the face on any given week. I haven't seen that the last couple of weeks for the Jags. The Colts, I'm all in on Minshew Mania. He's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. He'll give you the goods. He'll give you a little bit of bad. But he's a great leader for the squad. Houston, on the flip side, we didn't talk. They got the win last week, but we didn't talk about C.J. Stroud and how he played. People just kind of glossed over the fact that C.J. Stroud missed a couple of games, bounced back, and was like, you know what, I'm here. Yeah, this offense is back on track. So this is you would hope that one of these teams will make it into the playoffs and then surprise some people. But they have been so inconsistent that I just think whoever they're facing is just a better squad.
Yeah. And full credit to D'Amico Ryans and Shane Steichen. Like, great jobs. Wonderful jobs. But I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know if they scare me in the postseason. All right. I just want to get one more in here, and we've already run out of time. I know why, but Cleveland needs more love from the national media types. Like, the Browns beat Cincy on Sunday, and they will match their season franchise record with a 12th win on the season. I know it's one more game, but they have won 11 games with 4 starting quarterbacks. Jeff Driscoll, number 5, is starting in week 18. How in the good name of Mohamed Massaquoi are they doing this?
You got to give credit to their coaching staff. You got to give credit to their team. This is the same squad who lost Nick Chubb. And at the time, Nick Chubb was the leading rusher. And listen, before they lost Deshaun Watson, when they lost Nick Chubb, I was like, oh, bro, that's a wrap.
Me too.
Like, that guy, they lost that dog, the one dude that gives this squad identity, the green light to their go. They lost him. And then they lose Deshaun Watson. Like, there ain't no way. And Joe Flacco comes in, and boy, oh boy, is that fun to watch. My dude is just like having the time of his life. I think I heard something where he talked to maybe his father, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but his father was talking to Joe, and he said, it looks like you're having the most fun you've ever had. And Joe was like, I am. Think about that. This is the dude that has won the freaking Super Bowl. A guy that has had the ups of ups, Pro Bowl years, big-time contracts, been praised, and he's having the time of his life with the Cleveland Browns. That's fire. That says a lot about the city. That says a lot about the team. That says a lot about the squad. Like, how easy would it have been for Cleveland within the division that they're in? The never drop below 500 Tomlin Steelers, the Cincinnati Bengals that just figure it out regardless of who's at QB, the Baltimore Ravens. How easy would it have been for Cleveland to say, you know what, bro, let's just pack it in. Deshaun Hill up, Nick Chubb, we hope you get healthy. Everybody else, we'll see you in 2024. Like, and nobody would have blinked an eye. We would all have been like, hey, yo, Cleveland, you get it. We get it. Instead, they were like, no, lock in. Like that, Kevin Stefanski and what he's built over there and how they're following his lead. I think, like you said, let's get another coach that could be coach of the year. With everything that he's had to deal with, like, you have to give him credit. And Joe Flacco having a freaking moment. And what does that say about backup QBs that know the offense, that has a certain calm? I just talked all this stuff about fast, athletic quarterbacks can lead the – man, Joe be out there chilling. Even when he's rolling out, it look like he's walking out. I'm like, what? Bro, are you running right now? And Joe's just like, hold on, wait. Let me just – he's that old dude at the local gym with the elbow pass that's getting buckets. You're like, yo, did he just drop 20 on us? Yeah, that's Joe Flacco. So I think it's fire. And to be honest, like they could be dangerous, man. The Cleveland Browns really could be dangerous. Because what it will come down to in the postseason, we'll continue to talk about this as we get into it. It's going to come down to head coaches and quarterbacks. Do you trust the head coach or do you trust the quarterback? And with those two, I do. And I'm not sure I can say that about a lot of the quarterback and head coach combos going into the postseason.
I love all that. Some of that is the best stuff of this podcast. And we've run out of time. But as you're talking about Joe Flacco, and I know that you and I had this conversation early in the year, we asked why the Jets were scrambling to do better with their quarterback position. And as Joey Flacco put it on the Jets, like I felt a near visceral reaction. Like, I don't want to say wasted season, but my God, when you think of what the Browns have done with their quarterbacks, and what the Jets did after Aaron Rodgers went down, like that was, I mean, you were doing walk it out for Joey slipping out of the pocket, but pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. Facts. As soon as Aaron Rodgers went down,
season over. Yeah. That's what it seemed like. As soon as Aaron went down, the season was over. They had some moments where like, oh, they might figure it out. But just think about it. If Joe Flacco would have remained the Jet, and he was able to come in after Rodgers goes down and maybe Zach Wilson isn't the guy. And they say, you know what, let's put in the vet. Think about how that would have changed the landscape of this team. A quarterback to come in, take care of the ball, run the offense. Oh, not to mention a guy like Garrett Wilson probably would be having a Pro Bowl season. I mean, look at Amari Cooper right now, fam. Oh, Amari Cooper has always been good. Don't get me wrong. On every team, he cooks. He's one of the best route runners of his era. But to have a veteran quarterback that knows where you're going to be, Amari Cooper is balling out. And Njoku just made the Pro Bowl. Like, I know those Jets receivers are like, damn, why did we get rid of Joe? Like, out of all people, we need a vet in the room. We thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be that, but why not have him as a security blanket? I know they're kicking themselves in the butt, and the Cleveland Browns are patting themselves on the back.
And because of it, they are having a happy new year, Nate Dogg, in Cleveland. We'll see how long it lasts and if we get you to Montreal in 2024. Woo!
Let's do it, man. Let's relive it, man. You and me. Let's relive that moment. All
Take it back. Back in the day when I... All right. Thank you. Thank you, Nate Burleson. Appreciate you. Let's do it again next week.
All right. I'll see you next week.